Lately, scrolling through social media, I keep stumbling upon a strange phenomenon
What's in that tote bag?
If you're lucky, you'll find out. Tampons should 100% be free.
where a
I just got a new
specific
hair and
type of a
something tattoo.
man who seem too perfect. They sip artisanal coffee in minimalist rooms. They read fathers' philosophy books and they speak in moral platitude about success. At a glance, it looks like the golden age of man, where everyone is handsome, everyone is capable, everyone has taste. But if you look a little bit closer to this, right underneath that glossy filter, you'll see something forced, something staged, performance. Sociologists call this the performative male. Simply put, it is when men stop focusing on being a man and switch to playing the role of a man. They become obsessed with building a perfect interface to grab attention, to be validated, that they forget who they actually are underneath. And I believe this isn't just a social media trend. It is the biggest identity crisis modern men are facing today. To understand how we drifted this far, just let's rewind a little bit, not to prehistoric times, but to the shift in social roles. Historically, the definition of a man was brutal, but incredibly clear. The strong survive, and the weak die. A man's value lay in his ability to protect and provide. You hunt the beast, you are a hero. You defend the village, you have status. Back then, masculinity was tied to survival. It was a reality, not just a concept to be debated. But the 21st century changed everything. We're living in the safest area history. There's no more predators. Food is abundant, and the most basic needs of Maslow hierarchy have been met. And when we no longer have to fight for survival, but the man fall into a massive void, could have excess energy but lack purpose. And right at that moment, a new monster appeared. Not the tiger in the jungle, but the attention economy and the social media algorithm. This system whispers in our ears that, hey, you don't actually need to be strong. You just need to look strong. And just like that, masculinity went from being a quality to being a commodity. A product that can be bought, packaged, and performed right after that. Look at the state we build for ourselves every day. First and most obvious, the stage of the body. Never has gyms been this crowded. That's great if the goal is health. But let's be honest, what percentage of that is for fitness? And what percentage is for that check-in photo in the mirror? Muscle is no longer a tool for labor, and it had become a billboard for discipline. A silence matched to send the virtual word saying that, look at me now. I am an unfamiliar, and I can control my whole body very well. So in ridiculous. Yeah. And then we have the second stage, lifestyle. And this is when the matcha lattes, vintage outfits, or expensive film cameras supreme. Now today don't just need to be strong, they need to be sophisticated. But this certification is often another role. Putting a cup of green tea isn't necessarily because you like the bitter taste, but because it presents a slow life, a depth of character, a calculated contrast to the hustle outside. And the most subtle one, the intellectual stage. Have you ever seen those photos of champions, the bell jar, or thick philosophy books placed perfectly next to a coffee cup? Oh wow, there is a term for this that is called performative reading. Reading to perform. The book is no longer a door to knowledge, becomes a fashion accessory. It screams that I am knowledgeable, I am deep, and I am progressive. All of this stage, including body, cuisine, intellect, just creates a flawless portrait of the modern man. But what's really hides behind this current of this grand production? That's exhaustion. And we are living in a cruel paradox. Society teach man to be open, to share feelings, yet simultaneously, unspoken standards still demand that they be the pure, be successful, be wealthy, and absolutely never show weakness. We're caught in the crossfire, and if you are too tough, you're labeled like toxic. If you're too soft, you're seen as bland or spineless. And then this double pressure pushes men onto the path of performance, not knowing how to be right. They choose to wear a mask. They play the successful entrepreneur on LinkedIn, the romantic lover on Instagram, and the stoic outlaw on TikTok. The real person and the character drift further and further apart, and the price for that distance is extremely loneliness, depression, and suicide rate in men significantly higher than in women. Not because they endure less, but because they don't allow themselves to take up the armor, and when it becomes rushing, even more dangerous. When feelings lost, many young men turn to quick painkillers online. These are the videos like teaching you how to be a man, courses on becoming an alpha male, advice on dominance and power. But be careful. These contents, to be more specific, at their core are just another type of script. They sell you insecurity to buy back an illusion of power. They turn masculinity into a race for status, where you must trample on others, or at least trample on your own emotions, to be considered like a real man. Yeah, a real man. So this is like a big question. Where is the way out? The answer likely doesn't lie in the course of some new high-minded philosophy. It lies in a place we have ignored for too long. The real world. Researcher Richard Reeves once said something profound. The best way to beat the online world is the offline world. Men, especially growing boys, they don't learn to be human through theoretical lectures. They learn by watching. A viral TikTok video about masculine frame becomes meaningless in front of the image of the father rolling up his sleeve to wash dishes for his wife after a dinner. The shouts about dominance vanish when you see a male teacher patiently listening to a student, a kind neighbor always ready to help without needing anyone to film it. So those are the real models, men who are not toxic, not flashy, and the most importantly, they don't need to prove anything. They present as present. They work. They loved and they're quiet. Steady presence is the strongest antidote to the culture of performance. The future of masculinity is not dominance, nor is it the rejection of strength. The future of masculinity is authenticity. It is time we redefine courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the daring to admit your fear. Courage isn't straining yourself to carry the whole world, but daring to say, I am tired today, and I need to rest. Escaping performative masculinity doesn't mean giving up on your self-performance. You can still hit the gym, you can still dress well, you can still read books, lots of books, but do those things for yourself, for your health, for your joy, not for an algorithm or a judgmental gaze out there. So, right now, turn off your phone, step outside, meet real friends, just do ordinary physical work. Connect with flesh and blood human beings, because after all, the cheering comments will fade away. The only thing that remains, the only thing that defines who you are, is your true self. When the stage lights are off, stop performing and start living from today. And I'm RogerSCane. Thank you for watching. Bye.